So I want to welcome everyone. I'm excited to share this presentation with you on creating interactive data dashboards using Python and Plotly. And today we'll dive into visualizing the impact of remote work on mental health and exploring insights of the data through engaging hands-on visualizations. So thank you for joining. If you don't mind, please hit the like and subscribe button, and let's get started on this journey to turn data into meaningful insights. But first off, I want to explain what is Plotly and why use it. So Plotly is a powerful Python library for creating interactive, visually appealing charts and dashboards. Plotly is known for its flexibility and ease to use. Plotly allows us to build a wide range of visualizations from simple bar charts to complex multi-chart dashboards, all with the ability to interact and drill down into data. It's an ideal tool for exploring and presenting data insights, making data more accessible and engaging for the viewers. So next, I will go over a list of steps. So it's going to be steps from 1 to 10. So first I will show you how to install required libraries for Plotly. Also, we will import necessary libraries. We will load and inspect the data set. 4, we will create an interactive bar chart. 5, we will add filterable scatter plots. So we could be able to filter down and drill down into this data set by creating this scatter plot. Also, we'll create a heat map, also doing filtering, add a line chart, and also create a pie chart. And then we can combine all of these visualizations into one dashboard layout, and then we'll be able to save and share the dashboard. So first off, I want to show you where to get the data set and what data set we will be using. So this is where I got my data set from Kaggle. So Kaggle is basically a website that you can go in and you can even create your own username and password, come in here and explore data sets. So this data set is the one I am going to work with. So it's called Remote Work and Mental Health. So once you are here on this page, and I will link this page in the description below. Once you click that link and it brings you here, you will have to create your username and password for this kaggle.com. Once you are in here, you can go ahead and download the data set by simply just clicking download, and then you can click as a zip file here. After you download your data set, it's good to open up your CSV file to get familiar with your data set. So as you can see, it says employee ID, age, gender. Look, they have job role here, industry, so healthcare, IT, education. Rather, they work from a remote, hybrid, on-site. Also, they have stress levels, so we can look at their stress levels, mental health condition, productivity change, decreased, increased. They even have satisfaction with remote work, unsatisfied. So we'll go ahead and upload this into our Jupyter Notebook. I use Anaconda Navigator. So if you have Anaconda Navigator, all you have to do is simply go on to Launch under Jupyter Notebook. So if you're not sure how to get Anaconda Navigator, I will link that video in this description below on how to download Anaconda Navigator for using Jupyter Notebook. It also has other tools in here, but in this case we are using Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Launch, and it will open up Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so once your Jupyter Notebook pops up, you will then upload your CSV file into your Jupyter Notebooks. As you can see, I've already done that, but if you're not sure how to do it, all you have to do is simply click on your upload button here on your top right. Then your files will open up, your file location. I have it under my downloads, so I went ahead and double clicked on that. It uploaded into my Jupyter Notebook. So keep in mind, you have to know the name of this. So if you double click here, you can see that it's your file that we were just looking at, the CSV file. Up here on top, if you click that, you can just do a simply copy, which is this file name. You will need that when you upload it into your Jupyter Notebook using the Python code, and which I will show you. So we're going to open up a new workbook. So what I do is I'll just click on New. Then it asks you what you want to create. So I'm going to open up Python 3. You will then get a new workbook opened. So you can rename this workbook whatever you want. So just by simply clicking on that untitled one, we'll just call it dashboards. And I rename it. So now it's called dashboards. So you will see your cells here. To create new cells, you just simply hit this plus button. So I'm going to make a few of them so I don't have to keep clicking on it. And if you make a mistake, there is the little trash can here to delete this cell. So the first thing I want to do is I want to install my required libraries to use Plotly. So going back to my form here, this is what I need to install. So this is called pip install Plotly Pandas. So I will go ahead and go to my list. So one on the list is install required libraries. So I will go ahead and just mark that yellow, showing that we're getting this done. I'm going to write a note here, how to create interactive dashboards in Python using Plotly. So right now it's under code. I can just put this as marked down. So it's just a note. So now when I run the code, it just will run it as a note. So the first thing you want to do is you want to type in pip install Plotly Pandas. So when you run this, it will install this library. Now, once you do this one time, you don't have to do it again. But if you don't have this package installed, this will be necessary for the interactive dashboards we will be creating. Next, we will go ahead and import our libraries, which is here on the list. So I will go ahead and mark that as doing complete. So here is import plotly.express and then import pandas as PD. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in now. Okay, and I will run this. As you can see, there's numbers here, so that means it ran smoothly. Now, number 3, load and inspect the data set. So we're going to do that next. Is my note there. So I will go ahead and put this as a markdown. I don't think I ran this one up here. There we go. So it could be as a note. So number 3, let's load up the data set. So we're going to call this data. Okay, so remember I said I needed the name of the data set. So I'm going to go back here. So if I open this up again, and I click on the name, I'm going to copy this, highlight and copy. Then I will paste it here. So I know the name of the data set it's pulling from. And remember to put .csv. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And it pulled the data set. So now I want to review the data set, making sure it loaded up properly. So again, I'm calling it data. So now I'm going to go data dot columns. So I'm telling it to pull my data set and I want to see just the columns. I'm going to go ahead and run that. So here's my column. So employee ID, age, gender, job role, industry. So it has all of my columns there. So it's good to just view this just to check for any misspelling in your variables, just to kind of get an idea of what your variable names are, or maybe even looking for something that doesn't look right. But in this case, everything looks fine. So we'll go ahead and move on. So the next thing I want to do is check for any null values in my data set. So I'm going to put a note here, checking for null values. And again, my data set name is data dot, and I'm checking for any null, so it is null. And I want the sum. I will go ahead and run that code. So now there's two variables here, as we can see, mental health condition and physical activity. They have a lot of null values in those variables. So I want to go ahead and take a deeper look at these variables, and I will just look at the first head part of my data set. So it's data.head. I'll run that code. And again, it's mental health condition. And here it is, mental health condition. As you can see, there is NAN, physical activity. There's also NANs there. So it's not a number, they're not numbers. It is actual text. So we call that categorical data. So that's what it is. Since both mental health condition and physical activity are both categorical data, I will go ahead and fill a custom category with basically unknown or not provided. I will type that in there. So I'm going to replace the NAs with unknown. So that's pretty much what I will do next. I like to copy and paste. So I will copy this, paste it in here. So as you can see, I used fill NA. So it's going to fill it with what I type in here. So I want it to fill it with unknown. And I will do the same thing for the next variable. And I will run this code. Now we see a number here, meaning that it has ran smoothly. So I want to just view it again, which is using this code here. I will copy this code and paste again. And now I will run this code. Now you can see my mental health condition has 0 unknowns or NAs. And my physical activity has 0 NAs. And that is taking care of any of your NA values in your data set. Okay, now number 4. Number 4, we are going to create an interactive bar chart. So I'm going to copy this to put in my note. I also want to highlight it yellow, showing that we're doing this one. I'll paste it there, and I'm going to change this from code to markdown, and I will run this as a note. So step number 4. I will start with the code. And I like to copy and paste. So I'm going to do this variable here, mental health condition, X value, and then for my Y, I want it to equals work-life balance rating. Copy and paste here. Next, I will create my title. And you can name this whatever you want, but in this case, we are going to name it Work-Life Balance by Mental Health Condition. So mental health condition again. So I'm going to copy this. Single quotation. Find it mental health condition. So work-life balance. I want to call my single quotations there. So I want to be able to create my hover, calling it hover data, underscore data equals. It's this variable here, stress level. You can type it in or copy paste. And this one's going to be number of virtual meetings. I like to copy paste, close bracket, and end this with fig.show. I will go ahead and run my code. And you can see there is my table here, work balanced by mental health conditions. This is my title here, which I created here. So as you can see, when I put my cursor over each of these bar graphs, you can see a little pop-up. So that's the interactions that's happening on this visual. So as we can see mental health conditions, depression, work-life balance, ratings, which we asked to give the stress levels and the number of meetings. So you can pull any variable you want for it to pop up on these visuals for when they put their cursor over each of these bar graphs. So work-life balance here is basically what we're calling it here on our X and Y axis. And there's the mental health condition here. So that's how to create that bar chart. Next, we will go to number 5. 5, I'm going to copy this, and we're going to add filterable scatter plots. So I'm going to highlight that. And I will run this as not a code, but a markdown or note. Okay, so I will go ahead and start with my code. So this code, I'm going to do the same thing as up here. So I'm going to copy this, paste here, but instead of a bar graph, we're doing a scatter plot. So just put scatter and call in your data set again, and you're going to create your X and Y axis. And your title. I will run my code. And I spelled labels wrong. It is labels. And there is my scatter plot. So as you can see, as I put my cursor over these dots, you can see that it's by employee, which we did employee ID. So this employee ID, the 4983, works for HR. Satisfaction with remote work is neutral. Stress levels are high. Hours worked per week is 59. So you can just go over each one. Also click on one of these to see just those job specifics. So data science, if I click on that one, let me take all these off. Actually, you can click on them to take them off. And then you can click on data science, and that these are just data science employees, which is employee number 4966 data science. Also clicking on software engineer, take the data science off. So very specific to that work title. So next, number 6, we will create a heat map. So creating this heat map, I'm going to copy also highlighting this yellow. And again, I'm going to run this code, but not as a code, as a markdown to make my little note there. And I will start the code for the heat map. Just to keep in mind, these X and Y values are your variable names. So these were your columns, right? So that's what we're calling. So I want to make sure I'm spelling these right, because if not, it won't pull these into your plots. So you just need to make sure you're spelling those right. You can copy and paste from your variables here if need to. Your title, you can call it whatever you want. Double quotations. And then recreating your labels. Only with the fig.show and writing my code. And here is my title name, impact of company, which I spelled company wrong. Doesn't make a big deal, but just correcting that. Impact of company support on social isolation. And here is your X and Y axis. And again, as you can see my cursor on each of these blocks, it shows a pop-up labeled company support for remote work, social isolation rating number 4, and count 215. So that's how many that are in that category for remote work isolation ratings. So a heat map is excellent for identifying patterns in categorical data. So this tool tips is to display the average value for each cell in the heat map. So now we will go to step number 7. So we're going to add a line chart. So I'm going to copy that and highlight that number 7, showing that we're doing this one. So number 7, paste that here and run it as a markdown. So with my code, I'm going to start off with data, and I'm going to do the date equal pd.date. And now my labels. With fig.show and running my code. Now here you will see the productivity change over time. And again, this is just like the one we created before, where you can click on these. Same thing in this process. So you can go ahead and just put your cursor over each of these and see the status of these pop-ups. So if I just want to look at one, say South America, here I can see region South America, the date, productivity change is decreased. So a lot of these in the middle it's decreased, and then on the top it's no change, and then on the bottom it's increased, but within time, 2022 to 2032, also in the future for prediction, I guess you can say. You can click on any other ones, say Europe. So now we will go ahead and go on to number 8 of our steps. So we will create a pie chart. And I will do that as a markdown. So this pie chart will show the distribution of employees without access to mental health resources. So we will go ahead and do that now. So starting with fig.px.py, and then our data set name, which is data. I will run this code. And here is our pie chart. So you can see here is the title, access to mental resources, and it's basically a yes and no variable. So red meaning yes, and blue, or I guess blue purplish color, is no. So basically when you hover over it, it gives you a display percentage of each category. So mental health resources, no, and access to mental health, yes. So now here is the fun part. We are going to combine visuals into one by using a code. So this is step number 9. So now we're going to set up the layout with specific types for each sub. So a subplot. So we're going to go ahead and create that. This is going to be the first row of the bar and scatter plots, and this will be your second row. Something's not right. Oh, I see right here. There we go. Okay, then next I will go ahead and close that with a close parentheses. So next I will add the bar charts. This is where I'm going to add the bar chart, the scatter plot, the heat map, the pie chart, all that together. So in this case, I already have it pretty much created. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in here. And I will just go over it. So the bar chart here is bar underscore fig. This is what I'm calling it. This is pulling this variable from our data set, the mental health conditions. and then the y-axis is going to be the variable work-life balance. So this is going to be the bar figure, and for the scatter plot, this is adding the second chart, which is scatter. So scatter plot, I am doing again, x and y-axis, but this case we're doing x as x-axis for satisfaction with remote work, y-axis is the stress levels, and the third chart is the heat map. So the heat map is going to have an x-axis of company support for remote work, and the y-axis is going to be social isolation rating. So again, these things in red are your variables. It's pulling from your data set, which we called our data set data. So then next we're doing a pie chart, our data set name, and the variable access to mental health resources. So we will go ahead and put one more line of code here, which is the layout. So again, I'm going to copy and paste it here because it's a lot of typing. So update layout with title. So this is the layout for our dashboard. So the title is going to be Interaction Dashboard, Impact of Remote Work on Mental Health. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And here you go. We have the whole layout of the interactive dashboards, all of these dashboards that we created within our code, all in one. So now number 10, we will save and share the dashboard. So again, we're going to put that as a markdown, run this code. HTML. So once we run this code, it should save this dashboard. So this is what we called it up here, internal dashboard. Okay, so now that we saved it, now we can go ahead and go back to our main page on Jupyter Notebook. And as you can see, it is interactive. Let's see, we maybe refresh this page. Yep, there it goes. So it's the interactive dashboard. Here it is. So if we double click on that and just wait a bit, and there is your dashboard in an HTML file. So that is how you do an interactive dashboard, saving it on HTML file. So now you can be able to share this. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider supporting my channel by simply hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Or you could also buy me a coffee. That link is in the description below. Your support means a lot and helps me continue creating valuable content. So any way you choose to support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again, and I will see you on the next video.